Hey, everybody, welcome to the Green Up Podcast. This is our very first episode, hosted by SOCOMJohn and myself, RazorDak. We are a few well known SOCOM content creators. You've definitely seen us around. We'll start off with a few introductions here. So, I am RazorDak, okay? I'm a SOCOM content creator. I stream on Twitch and YouTube. You might have seen me around a time or two. I am 30 years old, so I've been playing SOCOM for a very long time. How about you, John?
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's SOCOMJohn. I've been playing SOCOM for a while now. I'm kind of a youngin' in the group. I'm 26 years old, about to be 27, but I'm still a veteran, or I like to think so. I've been playing since SOCOM 2. I've been a SOCOM content creator for about 2 years now, so I haven't really been creating too much content. Not as known as you, RazorDak. You've been putting in the work a lot longer than me, so I appreciate that. And just I'm happy to be here, happy to start a podcast about SOCOM, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
John, the burning question that I guarantee you everybody's going to have is what SOCOM is your favorite and why?
So I'd say if I'm getting like down to it, oh man, it's really it's such on the fence for SOCOM 2 and SOCOM Confrontation. And I know they're basically two different games, but I really oh man, I say if I had a gun to my head, I'd say SOCOM 2. But I really want to say SOCOM Confrontation just because I like the animations, I like the attachments, I like what they did with it. But yeah, SOCOM 2, I guess. What about you, Razor?
Oh, I can easily right off the bat, SOCOM 2.
Oh
Not
god.
even a challenge, not even a slight hesitation. SOCOM 2, man, it was my first SOCOM. It was my favorite one. I started playing it when I was about 11 years old. My brother introduced it to me, and I just something about it. I can't really tell you what it is. Like maybe it's the nostalgia to it, like just remembering my brother showing me how to play on Sujo my very first time, and just me running around with the iDub and the M14 because I was just this 11-year
Oh
old kid
man.
trying to his first ever multiplayer game.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'll never forget though. He's like, these are the guns you use, but as soon as you get good, you never use them again.
Mhm.
Which is exactly what I did. As soon as I got good at the game, I dropped those guns like a 10-pound weight. Um, but SOCOM 2 is definitely my favorite. I do like that you said Confrontation. I think Confrontation is a really cool SOCOM. It looks great. It's just, as you said, I kind of look at it as a completely different game. It's a little bit of a controversial SOCOM to a lot of people. And it's kind of that both ways, right? Like a lot of the Confrontation people feel like SOCOM 2 is controversial. The SOCOM 2 people think that Confrontation is controversial. Do
Yeah,
you feel
definitely.
that way?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of clicks going on. You're on your SOCOM Confrontation or you're a SOCOM 2 boy, and that's it. And that's why I didn't really want to say I like SOCOM Confrontation because I know I'm going to hear a lot of, SHIT from it. But, it is one of those games where I think they would have had a better a launch and a better time if they kind of just made it a different title. Maybe like SOCOM, a little arcade game or a little DLC you can download for like, $40 or something like that. I think they would have had a better time with it. But, you know, I like what you said about SOCOM 2 and nostalgia because that's definitely a huge factor. As soon as you log into SOCOM 2, as soon as you hear that music, it's just something boils in your blood and you just want to keep playing. So definitely SOCOM 2 had to be my answer simply due to nostalgia. But I can
Oh
understand
yeah.
why people like SOCOM Confrontation because it's a fun game. It's a fun game, but I definitely see why people don't like it because it's two different
Yeah.
pies, two different pies.
Oh yeah, and it's funny how you said like how you're gonna get some crap from the S2 people. You're gonna get it from both sides. Like the Confrontation people are gonna give you crap if SOCOM 2 is your favorite. The SOCOM 2 people are gonna give you crap if Confrontation is your favorite. It's really a funny thing. Like I tried to like walk the line on both sides because at the end of the day, I'm a fan of SOCOM. And I want SOCOM to be successful, whether it's my favorite SOCOM, SOCOM 2, or this guy is SOCOM combined assault, or that guy is SOCOM confrontation. It's like it's all SOCOM, and I just want SOCOM to be successful. So I don't really care which one's your favorite, as long as you're not like bashing on the other SOCOMs. We're all family. We're all just loving this series here.
Yeah, some of us. Some of
Yeah, some of us.
us.
Oh, that's an understatement. Some of us,
Oh
absolutely.
man, yeah. I wish, dude, everyone kind of just got together because I feel like Sony's kind of just sitting in the background laughing. Because if we got together and didn't kind of like create these cliques where it's like, okay, SOCOM confrontation, SOCOM combined assault, SOCOM two. If we all just realize like, hey, let's get together and let's realize the true enemy, which is not having a SOCOM, and let's just get behind that.
That is the true enemy. I'll frag that enemy all day.
Oh, all day, every single day, brother. But
So I know you said SOCOM 2 is technically your favorite.
yeah.
Um, I feel like a large factor for what SOCOM is a person's favorite is purely based on what was the first SOCOM that they played. Um, but beyond that, what do you enjoy the most about your favorite SOCOM? Before we even care about which one's your first SOCOM you played, what do you like the most about SOCOM 2? Or Confrontation, like I know you're kind of straddling the line.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
like the most about them?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I'd say with SOCOM 2, I really enjoy the music and like the atmosphere that they created around what is a Navy SEAL. And back in the day when you had to communicate and you had to use the mics and people couldn't talk over each other. So if you were on that mic and you were just talking nonsense, people would tell you. People would be like, hey, open comms up, stop talking. I got to call people out if I can. And once I heard that, I was like, wow. So like even down to like hitting that button to communicate, it's very important. So I think they captured the teamwork a lot better than what Confrontation did. So I like SOCOM 2 in that aspect. But then I like I said, with SOCOM Confrontation, they had all these attachments. They had the camos. You can change your face. You can do, all these type of things that made me feel really immersed into the atmosphere that I was. So if I could say, yeah, that's the two things that I liked that SOCOM 2 did, which was communication and how important, communicating with your teammates is, versus SOCOM Confrontations, basically how much stuff they added to the game, which you could argue that just came with, advanced technology and all that. So SOCOM 2 arguably was the better game.
I agree with that. Like SOCOM 2, one of the reasons why SOCOM 2 is my favorite is the simplicity of it. It's a pretty simple game overall. Back in 2003 or whatever, it wasn't that simple, like it was really like it was a really ahead of the curve in most people's eyes, being such a big multiplayer game. But like compared to like say Confrontation or even SOCOM 3 and Combined Assault, I want to give those SOCOM some love too. SOCOM 2 is very simple. You have really just a few guns. You have not a whole lot of maps. Each map has their own dedicated mode. So it's like it's pretty simple, and I think that's kind of like what people enjoy so much about it. It's a very simple game. It's your Navy SEALs versus the terrorist. You one life per round, which is really something that kind of gets lost in today's gaming world. Is not You
Definitely.
don't really have one life. So if you walk out there and get killed, it's like, oh, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Um, so it kind of takes a lot of the risk out of it. But SOCOM 2, out in the what I enjoyed the most out of SOCOM 2, I'd say like this arcade like simplicity. It's just, it kept me coming back, right? I played it all day, every day, all middle school, high school, even here in 2022. Here I am still playing SOCOM 2.
Yep, yep.
Um, it's the music. Oh man, the music is incredible. I Every time that I sign into SOCOM 2 online and that online lobby music plays, it's like a wave of nostalgia. It just flows over me and it just hits me like a wave. The maps are amazing. I can't really critique SOCOM 2,
It
and
really, it's
I don't
hard. It's
think
hard.
yeah, I don't think I'm being a fanboy about it. I'm not like it's like I'm not like SOCOM 2 can do no wrong. It's just the game's so amazing and just like the simplicity of it.
Well, I think I'd like to comment on something. Like, I think when you said like fanboy, I think people identify people as fanboys when there's like another game out there or another company out there that they could easily hop over to, and it's a better game clearly. And then okay, you're being a fanboy. You know, if you're choosing the lesser game simply because you like the series. But in this case, you're not being a fanboy because let's name another game that does it like SOCOM. Let's name another game that has the game modes like SOCOM does, that has single life like SOCOM does. So I think, you know, we're not being fanboys. We're kind of just asking Sony to give us a game that resembles the game that we cherish so much for 20 something years. Give us something like it. Give us a game mode that, or not a game mode, but I like what you said. The game modes is what captured SOCOM too. You know, there's no other game out there that has the game modes like SOCOM, and I think that's why people love it so much.
Oh, exactly. I agree with that. One thing that actually just like popped in my mind while you're talking about the one life per round thing. Another reason why maybe SOCOM could be in a good position to come back today is because like after SOCOM, you had all of these games that were just built around dying and coming back. Your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, even though a lot of them existed at the same time. After SOCOM really just died, every game out there was built on you have infinite lives per game. Um, but now today, in the recent years, battle royales came out, and I know battle royales are like a touchy subject. You hear people all the time, if SOCOM comes back, they cannot have a battle royale. It's like an open wound. It's kind of weird. But my point is, in a battle royale, you have one life per game. So who knows? Maybe they could capitalize on a game where you have one life per round because they kind of battle royale gives you that sense of valuing that one life
Hmm.
and not just running out and dying and making some dumb mistake. You have to be strategic. Um, Maybe, like 11 rounds per game, you have one life per round. Maybe SOCOM's a little bit primed to come back, capture that audience, like at least that way you don't have to spend 20 minutes looting up before dying to somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, and another thing, definitely I like the simplicity of, like you said, SOCOM just keeps it simple, and they ride the line between what's an arcade game and what's a military game. So I think, like you said, it's the simplicity and the arcade style, but they didn't overdo the arcade style. You know, they kind of just it was perfect. Unlike, I'll give you an example. You know, Ghost Recon Wildlands. You know, it's a fun game, but and no way in shape or form do I ever actually feel like I'm a Navy SEAL, or I feel like, okay, I'm really immersed into this. You know, some people do, but I think they're really reaching for it. I might get some heat for that. I think, but like SOCOM 2, I feel like it had the perfect sense of, okay, you know, I know I'm not a Navy SEAL, but this feels right. This feels cool. You know, I got the music in the background. I got the hat, the boonie hat on. It just felt right. And I think they rided the line between arcade style and realism perfectly, perfectly. So I
Well,
definitely,
anybody who's seen you stream knows that you literally wear a boonie hat.
yeah, 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 literally,
So you're that's not fake. That's not a fake take at all. John literally wears a boonie hat when he streams, and it's amazing. It's kind of like I forget his name. There was another guy who used to stream. Unfortunately, I don't really see him around anymore. He does pop McCoy pops in periodically. You
Oh,
remember he used to wear the ghillie suit?
yes, yes.
That
If
was really
if
cool.
I yeah, I'm glad you said that because McCoy is actually the streamer I saw who is like fully ghillie suited up, and I'm like, okay, so I could put a boonie hat on. Like if this guy's wearing a ghillie suit, I can at least put the boonie hat on, you know. So
Yeah.
but then I realized he's an actual United States Marine Corps type thing. So I was like, okay, maybe I should put the boonie hat on the wall in the back, you know.
He just came home from work. He didn't get out of his
Yeah, yeah,
work attire.
exactly,
He
exactly.
just got home from work and he's like, I'm playing some SOCOM.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that you have the confidence to wear that boonie hat and he has the confidence to wear the ghillie suit is why I'm confident to wear my clown wig, you know? Obviously
Dude, that
joking.
cowboy hat, dude, the cowboy Dak, that's the perfect meme slash persona I seen you make so far.
Man, that thing's gonna follow me to my grave though. Like
Cowboy
literally the only
dagger.
reason that happened, so the story behind my cowboy hat is I was playing around in Twitch one day, and like in my previous streams, people be like, "Oh, you should do point reward, you should do channel point redemptions." I'm like, I don't know how to do that. So I was playing around and I found it, and one of them was hats off, I think it is. And it's just like you wear a hat. And I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll activate it. I activated that and a few other random ones, and somebody redeemed wear the hat, and I'm like, dude, I don't have any hats. I'm like looking around my room, and the only hat that I had in my room was this cowboy hat that my wife got like a week earlier for some reason. I'm like, oh, I'll wear that, and now it's just it's created a life of its own,
There you
you
go.
know.
Yeah, I like it, dude. I like it. You're being yourself, and I think people can see that, and they can see when somebody's being genuine. So, you definitely hit it out of the park with that, dude.
We all just want to have fun, you know. um
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
so what SOCOM did you play first, John, out of curiosity? Like,
Oh
what was the
man,
first? What was your first experience? So, what was the first SOCOM you ever played? And tell me your earliest memory about that. Like, what do you remember about playing that first time on whatever SOCOM was your first one?
the first memory that ever comes in my head, it was SOCOM 1, Desert Glory, Seals, and I was middle spawn. I don't know why I remember this so much, dude. I think that's why I love SOCOM. It literally just hit me so much. Like it hit me like a brick wall, dude. And Desert Glory, middle spawn, Seals, and I had the LMG, not the M60, but the M70 something. It was like the noob cannon. Like it had like 73 bullets in it. It was ready to go, And that's the first memory I have. But like I don't remember playing SOCOM 1 that much, because I was so young.
You were traumatized.
Yeah, maybe, dude, maybe. I
You
probably
probably
was
got
like,
blown up by a grenade.
yeah, I was like, there's terrorists. What's a terrorist, mom? Like
They're
all
terrifying.
these
You
stuff in
probably
my,
got
but
blown up by a
like
grenade.
But like definitely SOCOM 2, I remember playing all the time, every single day. I remember my parents literally, not my parents, but my dad specifically, closing the door. Like he's like, "All right, go play in the woods, go outside, go do something. Like SOCOM is
Go
not your
play in
life."
traffic. Go play in
Literally, he was
traffic. I
he
don't
was like,
care.
"SOCOM is not your life," and I remember screaming at him, "Yes, it is." Like
This is my life
yeah,
now,
literally,
Dad.
like I was so hooked. But I was like, 10 years old, 8 to like 12, and but SOCOM 2 definitely, SOCOM 2 hands down. I played that until basically I got arthritis.
Well, I guarantee you're not the first, and you won't be the last
Oh,
to have that
100%. People
experience.
are people are doing it today.
Um, how did you come about playing SOCOM? Like how did you end up there? Like, did you just walk in and your dad was playing it? Did a friend recommend it? Like, how did you get on SOCOM?
That's a good. Yeah, I don't honestly. I think it was my older brother before anything. I remember my dad playing the campaign, and I remember him asking me, hey, do you want to help me out, or do you not like help him out or like play, but like, hey, do you want to tell me where to go or which guy to shoot first and all that type of stuff. And then my older brother, with him having all his friends sleep over for birthdays and stuff like that, and if I wanted to be inside the room playing with them, I had to be at least semi decent. So I just remember
Mm.
hitting the grindstone. I was like, all right, time to hang with the big boys.
Oh God. Oh God, I
Oh,
can
dude, I
relate.
added my brother's older friends. I tried to bribe them to play with me. I was that annoying little brother, dude. Like, I was like, I was just completely, I'm not afraid to admit it. Everyone was that annoying little kid once in their life, and I was definitely that dude. During SOCOM 2, for sure, for my big brother. I'm sorry about that, Josh.
um, I love that you said all that, because um before SOCOM for me, I was playing Desert Storm, Conflict Desert Storm on the Xbox, and anybody who's ever played or seen that game, you can feasibly understand how it looks like SOCOM. You're playing a squad of four. It's a third-person shooter. I don't even know what you were. Maybe you were a Marine. I don't know. I don't think you were a SEAL, but you're a part of that team. You're in Desert Storm, obviously.
Yep.
Hence the name of the game. And I remember playing that, and I loved it. I loved Conflict Desert Storm 1 and 2. It wasn't multiplayer, so I just kept playing the story. And my older brother was like, "Oh, he's like, you should play this game I'm playing called SOCOM." and he's 7 years older than me. So like the fact that he's like recommending a game, I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, he was little kid, probably 10, 11 years old at the time, and he showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm good on my game," because they look the same. I'm like, "These look like the same game. Why would I want to play SOCOM when I'm already playing Conflict Desert Storm upstairs?"
And that's called
And
fanboying.
yeah, yeah, fanboying. Yeah, there it is. So I'm
Fanboying
like,
for
"Why would I
Desert
play?"
Storm.
Yeah, I'm like, "Why would I play this game when I'm already playing the equivalent upstairs on my Xbox?" I didn't own a PS2. He had a PS2. I had an Xbox.
Hmm.
And he sits me down, I play it, and like it was just like lightning struck. I'm like, oh man, this is incredible. How am I ever gonna play anything else? Like I probably
Yeah.
never touched Desert Conflict at a Storm again after that. Um, and I just remember him. My earliest memory of SOCOM is me playing on Sujo. Him showing me, like I vividly remember being on the seal side next to the meat market where the butcher is, next to the ladder, and him just explaining to me, use the IW80, the iDub, because you're so goddamn bad at the game. Use this gun. And when you're on a terrorist, use the M14 because you're so bad at the game. Use these guns. They're noob guns. People will yell at you, but if you're, like it's fine to use it when you're new.
Oh, people can tell when you're
But
new for sure.
oh yeah, and he told me when you get good, stop using them. And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, definitely." And I remember doing that, playing the game using those guns. And I remember I was on Fishhook one day, and I think I was lighting it up with the iDub, and they started yelling at me. I started getting yelled at by my team, saying, "Why are you using that gun? Stop using that gun!" And I was like, I had like a really good KD at that point in that game, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should use something else. And I think I started using the RE14 because it looks like the iDub, but that was kind of like how I graduated out of using those guns, and that's like when I think I stepped up in SOCOM, where I was like, oh, I'm here, man. Um,
Brother, I'm not going to interrupt you of what I am, but like for literally, I'm so glad you said that. The RA14 is exactly what I moved up to after the iDub. It was like almost the equivalent, but just, the lesser evil, and it was perfect. I love it, dude. I
oh
love it
yeah.
still today. If I use the RA14, it feels like I'm using the iDub sometimes. I'm like, oh God, I should put it away sometimes. It's a good gun.
Oh, oh, and like also how you mentioned like how you're like, oh, I have to be semi decent playing with your brother. I remember my brother saying, "Hey, you're gonna play in this clan war with me." And I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna be in a clan war with him? I'm like, this is insane. My brother's clan was a really highly ranked clan on game battles. At the time, it might have actually still been SOCOM battles. I don't remember. But it was a really highly ranked clan. I think at one point they were like top five, like no joke. So
And
like, I'm gonna be in a clan war with him. I'm like, wow, he must be so impressed with my gameplay,
yeah.
you know? So his setup was two TVs side by side, two PS2s because one was his girlfriend's who used to play. She was really good. All right. But
Wow, I hope you
so
never left her. God damn. Keep her, keep
so I
her.
rem I remember sitting down, starting this clan war. Fox Hunt is the first map, right? And what does he tell me? You hide over here. He makes me hide as a terrorist. He made me hide in that little alcove next to the river
Yep.
near the terrorist spawn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hide there. He runs out, and when he dies, he takes my controller.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm not even playing in a clan war. I'm
What,
just a body.
dude?
So I'm like, oh,
I'm so glad you said that because now I remember. You're literally bringing back memories, dude. You got a a lot better memory than me. But I'm so glad you said that because honestly, the same thing. I remember my brother asking me to play with him, and he literally just whenever like he would let me play, like he would let me move around a little bit, but whenever like I would be the last person because I was horrible at movement. Like I was always in the corner looking at a wall. And he would always be like, okay, let me see the controller. You're the last guy. I got to get this dub for the team. I'd always remember that. He always ripped that thing right from me, dude. He'd be like, okay, I let you play for a little bit. It was good times, though. Good times. Times that, I'll remember for life. Remember for life. SOCOM 2 was
well
just
you
one of those days, dude.
like a lot of the people playing SOCOM today are older than us. We're actually on the younger end
Oh, I
of
hear
the
it. I hear
current
it all the
community of
time.
SOCOMers. So, like, there's not a lot of people. Probably there are people younger than us. There's people who never played SOCOM 2 online until recently because they used to watch their dad play or something like that. Like there's two brothers in the community right now who tell me all the time, "Oh yeah, we used to watch our dad play, and we never got to play it online because we're so young." And they came back to this community, and they play it all the time. They love the game. They never even played it online
That's
back in the
awesome, dude.
day, and now they're playing it, and they're like, this is incredible.
Yeah, they get to like
Um,
connect with their father. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
exactly. But it's like not everybody knows the struggle that you and I know of being the really young brother
Mm-hmm.
and being like, yeah, be like, you just sit there. I'll take your controller when you die. You know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, dude. Like you said, I think we talked about this the other day off this, but I think we both agreed that we used the voice modulation back in the day. Like we were just that young, we were introduced to this game to the point where it was just like we were clearly a squeaker. I remember getting called a squeaker, dude. Like he was like, "Oh god, we got a squeak in the building," you know?
Well, you
uh,
remember we people would either assume you're a girl or they would be like, you're like this little 12-year-old boy. But well, I don't know what was worse because back in the day, if you remember, when people thought you were a girl
mm,
on SOCOM, things got really weird.
oh,
Things got really weird.
things
People
get
like
weird
trying to
today, but yeah, they got really weird back in the day for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'll never understand how weird it was. Like even when I got older and I would be in a room and there would be a girl in that room, the rest of the lobby got so awkward as if they've never talked to a girl
Yeah,
in their
like so
life before.
quiet, like they
They're
can't
like, what
even.
up? Well, they were either quiet or incredibly cringy, you know?
Yeah,
Like they
trying
were
to be
like
too
trying to
masculine, trying to like rash
yeah,
on everyone, and yeah,
yeah,
I get you. I got a couple of those characters as friends,
yeah.
even today.
Um, a good question that I bet you a lot of people would like to hear, and based on your background, literally your background, pe- people, this is on our mind a lot. So here we are in 2022, like everybody else, we're anxiously waiting, we're hopeful, we're just hoping that Sony just comes out of nowhere and says, "Hey, here's a new SOCOM," you know? So, John, if you had your choice, would you rather SOCOM 5? And what I mean by that is SOCOM 5 would literally be Sony making a new SOCOM. They wouldn't be remaking, remastering, taking an old SOCOM and just bring in 2022. They'd be making a new SOCOM. So would you rather SOCOM 5, SOCOM Confrontation 2, which would be SOCOM Confrontation that we all know, but the next step in a, maybe better, maybe, it could be as simple as SOCOM Confrontation without all the bugs and the issues that it's known for,
Hmm.
Or would you prefer a remastered SOCOM? So literally them taking a SOCOM and making it pretty, giving it a server, and just making it run better. What would you prefer if you had your choice?
Mm. Oh, oh man. You know, I would love to see a SOCOM 5, but you know, I don't. I don't know the blueprint of what a SOCOM 5 would be. Because they went to Confrontation, they went to 4. If they were like clear and they were like, okay, we're gonna take exactly what SOCOM 2 is, but give you newer maps or new maps, not newer maps, like remade maps. We're gonna give you new maps, 120 FPS. We're gonna give you everything under the sun, but then also we're gonna give you the old maps, not as DLC. I don't want to pay $15 for old maps. I want you to give me the new maps right from the get-go, or the old maps right from the get-go. And in a sense, I guess that would be a SOCOM remastered, right? So I would want SOCOM 5 if they included the same blueprint that what SOCOM 2 is, and they had all the old maps of what SOCOM 2 was. But if they're not going to do that, then 100% give me SOCOM remastered. Because honestly, I think that would be a better way to introduce the game to a newer generation, and for, just to get people hooked, to get people playing, because I don't think I'm confident in what they could present with a SOCOM 5, but I am confident what they can present with a SOCOM remastered. I know we would play that for 20 years because we're playing SOCOM 2 for 20 years, so I
Hmm.
know we'd play the SOCOM remastered, but I don't know if we'd play the SOCOM 5 for 20, I don't know that, and I don't know if they would make another SOCOM. So I think for the safer bet, SOCOM remastered. But if I was like, if they were like, hey, we're never gonna give up SOCOM again, I'd say SOCOM 5. You know what? Give it a try, give it a shot, but please, for the love of God, work on SOCOM remastered as you're doing 5. you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer because like a lot of people, they sit there and they go, "Oh man, just give me SOCOM 5. Just give me a new SOCOM." But they don't kind of like what you just outlined is perfect because people don't think about that stuff, like they don't think about what is the blueprint to a SOCOM 5. Is it SOCOM 4.5? SOCOM 4 wasn't very well received at all. That was a third person Call of Duty, right? Like it was literally a third person shooter that they pulled the screen back basically and made it third person. Yeah, first person shooter that they
Yeah, yeah.
pulled back to make it a third person. And then they threw in all of these Call of Duty aspects to it, like kill streaks, airstrikes, ranked respawn. That is just like a travesty. Literally a respawn mode that's ranked. I remember when they introduced that and I was like,
Ranked
that is
respawn?
insanity.
Not to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
like I didn't play SOCOM 4 as much as you did, so you would know a lot of what I would hate. So like I would just keep talking about it. What the hell is ranked respawn? Like how the hell does that even work out? Like is that just team
it's
deathmatch but it's respawn and it's ranked somehow?
I'll tell you what it is. It's Call of Duty. It's literally like SOCOM 4 so badly wanted to be Call of Duty that they nearly ripped it 100%. Except they made it in third person, like when SOCOM 4 was being discussed, like I'll give Zipper credit, man. They were very open on their forum about here's what we're working on, this is where we're at, this is what we have so far. And when it came out that SOCOM 4 with a ranked respawn, oh man, you would have saw that they just like kicked your dog, like it was not well received at all.
Yeah,
And we all complained. And Zipper, instead of them being like, okay, it's scrapped, we're done with it, they're like, oh, we'll meet you in the middle and we'll give you classic mode, which really rubbed me the wrong way because it's not classic mode, it's SOCOM.
hold on. So they didn't even have the SOCOM style game mode originally? They wanted to
It
add it
was
after the fact and call it classic mode?
Well, they weren't gonna have it at all. Like,
Wow.
literally, I remember in the forums that where it was just gonna be a ranked respawn.
That is
Um,
terrible.
so before the game even came out, we kicked up enough dirt. We kicked and screamed enough for Zipper to be like, all right, we'll give you classic mode as well. I hated that it was called classic mode, but they gave us classic mode, which was one life per round. But they weren't going to do it initially. They weren't going to do it.
That's so
Could
weird.
you imagine if SOCOM 4 came out without anybody knowing and it was ranked respawn? Oh man,
Oh
that
my
game would have
god, dude. Like I would have
that
I completely understand why people don't like it just from looking at the gameplay. But the what you're telling me, if they like, I 100% I understand why they don't like it. Just cause you can't even get into the gameplay if you don't have any game modes that you don't like. Why would you play the game? Like, and don't call it classic mode. What are you calling me a classic? Just
that's
call it
exactly what they're
call
doing.
it a game mode. Like I want to play the game I love. Like, that's crazy, dude.
Exactly.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that boggles my mind. I didn't play
It
SOCOM
was
4. I just looked at the gameplay and I was like, it's not for me. So I'm glad that you're touching
yeah.
base on it because it's just oof. Oof.
I can talk SOCOM 4 for hours and just there'll be some positives here and there. The maps looked nice. Um, but so like that is what people don't think about when they think about SOCOM 5. You don't know what you're gonna get. You might get SOCOM 4.5. You might get a newer version of a game that we really universally disliked. there are people who like SOCOM 4. And I honestly think that SOCOM 4 today would be more well received than it was back then. Maybe with a
Wholeheartedly,
different
yeah.
name though. Don't call it SOCOM. Maybe don't call it SOCOM. You know, um, I am not the biggest fan of Confrontation, but a more polished SOCOM Confrontation might be really cool. But ultimately, I would want a SOCOM 2 remastered. I would want them to take SOCOM 2,
Mm-hmm.
slap a few coats of paint on it, make it pretty, like polish it up a little bit, give it a server,
Yeah, give her a
and
facelift.
give it a facelift, make it look good.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it like you don't have to do a whole lot. Like there's going to be a lot of things that would be corrected just by today's servers and stuff, less lag, better ping, better internet, things like that. But I think in my mind a remastered SOCOM would be a safe bet because the SOCOM community knows that's what we want. We don't want some hybrid of SOCOM. We don't want some SOCOM 4.5. I don't even mean to bash on Confrontation. Like if SOCOM Confrontation was announced tomorrow, I'd be first in line.
Yeah.
SOCOM Confrontation 2, I'd be first in line buying a PlayStation 5, everything. Like I just want SOCOM,
I think at this point we'd literally get in line for SOCOM 4. I'd literally get in
Yeah,
line for SOCOM 4 again. If
a
they were like,
re
"Hey, we're gonna
a
introduce classic
re-release.
mode again," well, I'd be in line. I hate to admit it, but I'm really beggars can't be choosers right now, and I'll grab anything. I'll get anything. I won't like it, but I'll play it just to support SOCOM nowadays. I gotta.
It would just be like we're in line, like thinking like, why are there so many people here? We all hated this game, but I'm here for it.
Exactly.
Um,
I know we'd be there just for the fact to say Sony, F you. We're gonna support this series no matter what. At least I hope that we'd be like it. I hope.
I hope so, man. I hope that people like the sometimes the SOCOM community kind of beats itself, And you and I literally had this conversation yesterday, maybe, about a comment on one of your tweets. A guy asking, like, I don't want to give this guy like any attention, but an individual who is like, "Oh, are you having a funeral for SOCOM when you announced this podcast?" And it's like, some people, we know for a fact that that guy would be in line tomorrow if
Yeah.
a new SOCOM was announced.
Hmm.
And here he is today being like, just let it die, let the game die. But tomorrow, man, he'd be like, I'm so glad SOCOM's back. Best game ever. I
Hmm.
never doubted it before.
Yeah, I think that's the same type of guy that would not even sign the petition. Because about the change.org petition I got going on. It's the same guy who would probably sign the petition and then still comment that the petition's crap, it's not going to do anything, or even just not do it at all when it's just it takes a minute out of your day, and you could forget about it after. If you really just it's one of those things where people want to support SOCOM, or they say that they do. I hate this because I'll say this: there's a lot of SOCOMers in this community that claim that they love SOCOM, but then they bash on it. So it's like it's
Oh, give it
weird.
to me, John.
I
Give it to
think
me.
I think like SOCOM definitely has like a disease or a virus in it where it's like people claim that they're SOCOMers, but then they're really not. And I think we suffer from that more than any community out there. And that's why I think it's hard for us to get real advice, real support from everybody, real people just connecting, because there's all these just fake people that, not fake, but SOCOM is one of those companies that have so many different blueprints, like we've said in this podcast, so many different blueprints that everyone thinks they're right. Everyone thinks they have their own idea of what SOCOM should be. And if you're not like that, screw you. And there's a lot of burned bridges in SOCOM nowadays. And it's unfortunate.
You're absolutely right, man. Like sometimes the SOCOM community is its own biggest enemy. Like you and I have experienced it firsthand as two of two. I don't want to say two of the biggest because we'll get flack for it, I'm sure, but two really big advocators of SOCOM. Like we both have our Twitch, our YouTube, our Twitters. You have SOCOMHQ.com. We all have these different venues
Mm-hmm.
where, we're on Reddit, we're on Instagram, TikTok, we're all over the place, just telling people you can play SOCOM. SOCOM's here. It's playable in 2022. It's here. It's back. It's fantastic. It's just as good as you remember. All you got to do is get it set up. But there's so many people who are just like somehow so negative about it. People who say just let it die.
Yeah. Ugh.
People who are just so toxic in the community that they actually are just like a detractor where you have one person who's deterring new people,
Mm-hmm.
and like I will fight that all day, man. I so hard try to fight that toxicity, which isn't a rampant problem. It's definitely not a rampant problem because like I think the both communities of SOCOM are honestly really cool once you get to know the people. Unless you are the toxic person. If you're out there being like, man, that SOCOM community is full of people, full of toxic people, it's like you might actually be the toxic person.
Yeah, and that's why you're
Like,
experiencing those toxic things because
yeah,
you bring it to the table. So everyone just definitely, definitely, 100%. I agree with you there. Yep.
yeah. Um, do you have like a memory? Like I already told you mine. Like my memory is always going to be my brother showing me how to play SOCOM on Sujo. But do you have like a memory that's like just your greatest memory from SOCOM? You know, like just whether it's nostalgia or maybe you had some amazing clip where you just killed the entire team by yourself
I'd say
or anything like that?
most recently, my greatest memory is just community nights every Friday, logging on with you guys, talking to you guys, drinking with you guys. That's like the only time it feels like back in the day again. And that's nowadays. That's probably my greatest memory of SOCOM. And I hate to say it, like back in the day, I had some good memories, but I didn't have the boys that I do now. I didn't have the communication that I can do now. I'm actually a grown ass man, so I can talk to you. I don't have to use the voice modulation and stuff like that. So it's like,
You can though if you want to.
hey, I could. I did try. I have a video on my YouTube that sounds horrendous and I sound like a freaking robot, or besides that fact. But it's definitely, I think my greatest memory of SOCOM 2 is just chilling with you guys nowadays. And if I had to pick a memory from back in the day, it would just be playing with my older brother, playing with my father, and just completing the campaigns. It wasn't really anything with online. It was just all about chilling with my dad and playing the campaign and completing the campaign, watching him, like how much fun he had. And it was a lot of, I think that's what made me a gamer. I saw my dad playing video games. I saw my older brother, and I was just like, okay, this is what you do. This is, if you're a dude, you play some video games. You play military shooters. Like I just kind of, they led by example, and I continued to do that for the rest of my life. I just love military shooters. But
You
what about
know,
you?
that actually honestly like that's actually a really tough question. Like you bring up like yeah, I would definitely say like in 2022, like my greatest memories is just honestly SOCOM 2 Fridays. The community nights are amazing. And I don't even want to like belittle. I really enjoy Combined Assault on Wednesdays. I really do. Awesome community, great game. I played a lot of Combined Assault back in the day. Um, Confrontation can be a lot of fun. SOCOM 1 on Sundays, I really do have a lot of fun on SOCOM 1. That little community of people, man, they are dedicated. But SOCOM 2 Fridays, man, I really can't think of a better way to kick off your weekend, just you
Literally.
like you're no stranger to drinking, man. I'm definitely a little bit of a noob when it comes to drinking. I really don't drink a lot. The most
Yeah.
drinking I do is on SOCOM community night.
Mm-hmm.
Drink a little bit of vodka, pound a few beers, just have a good time. But while my earliest, most nostalgic memory will be my brother showing me, I mentioned his girlfriend earlier who used to play SOCOM. She was really good. But I still remember this one time. I was probably a freshman in high school, okay? And I remember by this point, my older brother, we moved out of the house that we lived in, and he stayed, and we moved about an hour and a half away to a different town. My brother just stayed there because he was older, he was out of high school. He was like doing his college stuff. So he stayed at that house. Um, I remember this one night I was playing SOCOM, and his girlfriend signed on, and we were in the same clan at this point. I was welcomed into that clan finally. I was actually really good by this point. I hope so, right after several years. And I remember just me and her. Her name was Pink Bullet, and it was probably like 7, 8 p.m. at night, and we roomed up together in SOCOM. And so we're just playing, having a good time, and we're just, we kept playing, great time, game after game after game. And before I knew it, it was like 5 a.m. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I've been playing, and this isn't anything too new to me, but I'm like, holy shit, I just played SOCOM all night with my brother's girlfriend. It was really cool to me because like I always looked up to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So like playing like all night with his girlfriend as clan mates, it was just like really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you felt connected to your brother, and you felt like you got to, kind of just get to know him a little better, and kind of just, like, hey, if she can have this much fun with me, then fucking. If you're trying to be like your older brother, then you know what I mean? Because everyone wants to be like their older brother. You're like, all right, if she can chill with me for 5 hours, I might be not doing too bad,
Oh yeah, and it just made you it made you feel more like a part of the clan.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like
100%.
it's like, hey, I'm in the clan. I'm an equal at this point. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
you're not just that little brother.
So you and I, this podcast has been a long time coming. When did we start talking about this podcast? Like honestly, a year ago?
I think it was a year. Honestly, I think that's when we were gonna get. I think it was when SOCOM Confrontation was just coming up, and I really wanted to get an interview with Snake, but I wasn't confident in like how I could present myself. So I was like, all right, who can I ask? Razor. And I remember we talked about it and it almost happened, but then I remember, you had your streaming, I had my thing, and then of course, drama and what happens in life,
Drama in SOCOM.
Drama just happens, but I'm glad that we burned it. Not burned it, but you know what I mean. We let the past be past, and I think it was for the better. I was actually talking to my girlfriend. I was like, me and Razor, we almost did this before, and she was like, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have worked out if you started it back up, like before. Maybe like everything happens for a reason. So, all this time passed and all of that stuff happened so you could have a better podcast, so you could have better communication, be better friends, I guess,
Yeah, no, honestly, like that's a good point. Sometimes you have to go through like, and this isn't even just like you and I, like in life, you go through a bit of a rough patch with people. It actually brings you closer together, makes the relationship stronger, right?
Yep.
It is funny that you said that. I feel like in general, a lot of people in the SOCOM community would probably be happier if they practiced that. Like there's a lot of people that in general I don't like. Like there's a lot of people I don't like. I don't mean in the SOCOM community, but like I try not to like let me disliking a person really take on a life of its own. So like when you and I were like having that little like SOCOM drama, it would have been easy for us to just be like, I hate that guy. F that guy, but like we're two people really working our butt off to bring people back to SOCOM to like make it known and get as many people back in the community as we can, whether people see that or not. It's something that you and I really try to do. So like, why should we sit there and bicker with each other? We clearly get along really well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, 100%.
We absolutely get along really well. Like you and your gifts make me laugh my ass off. Your random dodgeball gift. That picture of you Photoshop my face over that guy.
Oh yeah, I was like, meet Razor Blazer over here.
That makes me laugh so hard. Like we clearly get along really well.
Bro, you remember? I remember I made a video of you. You remember that stream where you had you were trying to dress like a Chad. You had your collar up, you had your glasses on, you had your hair spiked, and I remember I took a video of it and I added like lights, like rave lights in the background, and I made it look like you were listening to like rave music, and it was the best fucking thing I've ever created, dude. I was like, oh my god, this is gold, dude. And
if you have that around, you should put it. You should like.
Do 100%. All these images and everything, I'm gonna dig for it, and you guys are definitely gonna be seeing them right now over the screen for sure.
That would be hilarious.
Yep. But yeah, I'm glad that we took the time. Like I said, I think this is a very well needed bridge to be built. I think we did it, you know, like I'm glad that we squashed our beef. We're building this bridge. We're creating a podcast that I'm having a lot of fun in, dude. Like 50 minutes have flown by. Like this is, you know, like literally we've been in an hour conversation even before we started this podcast. So we've been talking to each other, I think, for a total of almost 2 hours now, going on more. And it's just going by like butter, dude. So I'm glad that we squashed the beef. Everything is kind of going the way it should. And I hope the people watching are having fun just as much as we are, because we really are. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, make sure. I know this is the first time we said it the whole time. Come on, that's when you know you're having a good time. Come on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like, yes, exactly. This has been really a lot of fun. I'm glad we're doing this. I feel like SOCOM really needs a conversation. You know, it needs to be talked about. Yeah, you can play it all day, but we need to talk about SOCOM. You know, we need to talk about, you know, like our memories, our thoughts, topics, which we're gonna definitely go over. You know, we're gonna have our plans. My plan for this podcast is to keep going with it. You know, have like weekly, you know, hopefully weekly iterations of it, weekly episodes where we can just go over different topics, what we're thinking about, what we're hoping for, things like that. We are going to have an email, which as of this moment, we don't have set up yet, but we will have set up by the time we release this, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Which John will probably put nicely on the screen, I bet you. If you have any questions, any thoughts, opinions, topics you want us to go over, or if you think you would be a good person for us to interview, because we do want to interview prominent people in the SOCOM community, not just in the PS2 SOCOMs, but SOCOM Confrontation and anywhere in between. We would like to have people on in future episodes and just to talk with them about stuff, you know, see what they think and everything. This episode right here is going to be on my YouTube just to get it kind of out there. But only episode 1 is going to be on RazorDak's YouTube. Every future one is going to be on the Green Up Podcast YouTube. Is that what it's called, John? What's the name of the YouTube?
Green Up Now. So that I think I really wanted the acronym GUN. I don't know why. Don't ask me, but I like Green Up Now. So I was like, that's going to be the podcast, Green Up Now podcast. So everything for our socials, we're going to try to secure GUN with JD. But all the socials will be above me right now. All the accurate, updated socials will be above me. Make sure you follow them, subscribe to them. And that's really the best way to communicate with me and Razor. And then also contact us, like Razor said. We really want to interview people. So if you think you're, not think you are, but if you're a developer, if you're a SOCOM advocate, if you're last year's SGL winner, if you're 10 years ago, if you want a SOCOM competition and you think you know everything, come on, let us know. We want some people to interview. Let's get some personalities on the show, you know?
I'm so glad you said that 10-year ago, Mark. I get people who comment on my YouTube all the time. I was the greatest player back in the day.
Yeah,
My
so
clan
let's hear
was
it,
so
right?
good. And I tell them, I'm like, dude, come play with us.
Yeah.
Don't just sit here in my YouTube comments talking about it. Join us.
Mm-hmm.
Show us how good you are. How cool would it be if they're being legit? Imagine if legitimately these top ranked players from 20 years ago are actually these people in the comment section. I would love to interview them.
Yeah,
I would love to hear from them, you know, like I was so young playing back in the day that how truly competitive SOCOM was, I couldn't even wrap my mind around it. Seeing admirals before admirals were just hackers and cheaters, when an admiral was a legit admiral, that was like the craziest thing to me. I remember seeing those admiral versus all room. There would be one admiral playing against 8 people, and the admiral would win.
Yeah,
They're really good.
Reckon them.
I would love to get a legitimate admiral in there, and I bet you that those people, they probably have screenshots. They probably have videos of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, send them in. Send them in.
Oh yeah, Don't bring a bunch of blank accusations or a bunch of blank statements. We want to see. No, you don't have to have it, but come on now. We want to see a glimpse of something that's truthful or something that we can use and be like, okay, this guy's who he says he is. We can't just go willy-nilly. And we really, honestly, like Razor said, if you're Admiral back in the day, for the love of God, reach out to us. We want to talk to you. We got
Absolutely.
something to ask
Yes.
you. We got quite a few questions to ask you. That's crazy accomplishment to be an Admiral from back in the day. I wish,
That's
dude.
incredible.
I wish.
I
I'd probably have
remember,
that freaking tattooed on me, dude. Like, I don't know. I'd have some kind of tattoo that's like resembling that.
I mean, every job interview they show up and they'll be like, "Well, what are your completions in life?" Well, my sales were this. I did this in this quarter. I was an admiral in SOCOM too. And the interviewer was like, "Holy shit, what?" He was like, "What was the last part?" "Oh yeah, my sales were really good." No, 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 fuck that. You're an admiral in SOCOM too. Yes. Were you a real admiral or were you a cheater? No, I was real. You're hired.
Yeah,
You're
right. You got to
hired.
ask
You're
him, is
in.
that pre 2003 or after? Because if it's after, it's questionable.
Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, like send us an email if you have topics or questions or whatever you want us to go over. Send it to our email, which will be displayed very nicely on screen at this point.
Yes, sir. All right. So, anything
Um,
else you want to touch on, Razor, or we're gonna call it here?
I feel like this originally intended to be 20-minute podcast, now
Literally.
an hour podcast. We've probably gone over enough.
Uh huh.
Our future plans, everybody, is like I said, we want to do weekly installments of episodes. Probably not an hour long, but you never know. SOCOM's one of those things that you can just keep going forever. But subscribe to the Green Up Now YouTube. Turn on those notifications. Be ready for our new episodes. And my personal plans is to like be able to come in every week and talk about a wide variety of SOCOM related stuff. Like what do we think SOCOM's gonna do? What's Sony gonna do? Is what are these games out there that are trying to be SOCOM? Are there games out there that remind us of SOCOM? Like just so much cool stuff we're gonna go over,
Yeah.
and I really hope you guys are excited for it. Um, that's all that I have, John. If you have anything else, man.
No, that's perfect. I think that's perfect. Like Razor said, one episode a week type thing, because we don't want to like give you guys fillers. We want you to really enjoy every episode. We want you to really feel like you're getting some useful information, but also being entertained. So I think we're gonna try to aim for the one episode a week, or maybe two, depending on if there's a lot of stuff going on. And I know Razor's a busy man. He streams every Friday, every Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes you stream. You stream every Wednesday. So you got like almost every single day you stream. So guys, make sure you check out RazorDak. I'm sure you already are if you're on his YouTube channel. But yeah, we're gonna try to aim for the one episode a week. And like he said, subscribe to the channel, like. Especially if you guys want to see SOCOM remastered, I keep saying this: support the content creators who are active right now. Don't go following the content creators that mentioned SOCOM 10 years ago. Don't do that. Follow the content creators that are talking about SOCOM now, because that's the best way to get the name out there, keep it alive, and then also hopefully we'll get SOCOM remastered. Hopefully we bump the right shoulders and talk to the right people to the point where PlayStation looks at our podcast. You never know. You never know. And I always say that the internet is a weird place, dude. Freaking the CEO could be watching this tomorrow. There's so
That's
much
right.
there's so much grasp and reach once you put this video out there, that just like the video, comment down below. Even if you didn't like it, let us know what you didn't like about it. The best way to grow as content creators is for you guys to communicate with us. So let me know if my
Yeah.
if my microphone sounds like shit, or Razor's, or anything. Or Razor, you wanted to say something?
I was gonna say, like if you don't be a downvote person and then hide. I challenge you. Like, feel free to downvote the video if you feel we deserve it,
Mm-hmm.
but I challenge you to tell us why. I
That.
challenge
Yep.
you to say, "Hey, I gave you a downvote because of this," and I guarantee you that we're going to work on it, and we'll try to get an upvote from you next time.
Well put, Razor. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. RazorDak and SOCOMJohn out.
Green up.
Green up, baby.